Well, every Tuesday we talk tradies and builders with industry mentor Miles Primrose from Business Side. Miles has been mentoring trades, also builders from right around Australia for over 17 years. Today we're looking at what you need to do to implement and to get paid on time. Miles, this has to be one of the biggest headaches, of course, for a lot of people out there, is getting paid on time. A lot of businesses actually go under while waiting.
Absolutely, and look, it's this relates to, I suppose, business to business. So this doesn't relate to if you're a residential person and you've got a house. So that doesn't apply. Now, a lot of people either, and there's a difference between, say, a tradesperson does some work and the builder communicates with them and says, look, it's going to be a few weeks.
Yeah.
They're communicating well, and they're letting them know what's going on.
It's kind of a knock-on effect, isn't it? Like, in terms of all it takes, it's a little bit like a plane in the morning which takes off late, affects the rest of the schedule for the rest of the day. It can never make up the time. And that generally is what happens. If one business takes a long time to pay, then that can affect that business, which then goes on to affect the others that it pays.
Absolutely, and it's helping trades for so long. When I talk to people about, what's the 2 or 3 biggest challenges you've got at the moment, and always it's, I don't like to work for a builder, or money's been tied up, or whatever the case may be. And it's hard enough for them to actually learn how cash flow works as it is anyway, without them having this problem. And look, I've written down 4 things that they can actually do, simple things that they can do to actually fix this. And the first one, and these all apply to different businesses depending on the size of the business and who they're dealing with. So the first one is simply actually setting up a purchase order. So really, before you go into the job, you might even have an old carbon copy pad, you've got something, but they've actually signed something to say that, okay, you're going ahead and this is what we agree to. And as long as it's done, it's signed and it's dated, has to be signed by the person that's actually got the authorization, because other people have signed it before, and it wasn't the person that was actually in charge.
Right.
And I've had people before, they didn't get their money back.
And that catches people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second thing is simply get a deposit before you start, because a lot of people, they have to put their money aside for materials and for labour, and it's like they're using the other person that's using them as a bank.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, you're exactly right. Like most jobs in the world of television, when you're paying for things, you have to give them cash, part of the cash up front anyway, to get the job going along, whether that's video production services. But there are so many tradies who essentially just wait to be paid once the invoice is done, and quite often they're just told, oh yeah, it's coming, or the check never actually arrives. But then on the other side, we all have Netflix and etc., and you couldn't imagine not paying up front. They just don't give you the option. So do you think that we'll eventually see a world where it is pay up front?
Well, I'm getting to that. You've jumped 2 steps ahead already.
I don't have much patience, Miles.
I'm getting to understand that. So with the deposit, what happens there is once they've actually paid a deposit, you've actually got proof of, we're doing some work for you, you've accepted the job and that type of thing. So that actually makes things a little bit better. So the third one is to actually make sure you've got some terms and conditions in place. And these shouldn't cost more than, say, $1,800 or $2,000. Basic terms and conditions, these have to be in place before the job starts. And the fourth one, it's called SOPA, which is the Security of Payments Act, which is set up by the Victorian Building Authority. Now, it's been around for a while, but a lot of people actually don't know about it. And it's essentially an agreement between businesses. As I said before, it's not if you go and get a house built by a builder, it doesn't apply there. And it's designed so that it's better to be set up before you do something. It can work after the fact, but it's harder, but it needs to be in place before. So for people to be able to do this, they can actually Google the Security of Payments Act if they want to. And there is a different setup for each state, but that's what it's called in Victoria.
Yep.
And
so what is the effect of that?
It's well, I suppose the effect or the good part is that when you actually go and find the Security of Payments Act, there's a process in there which will actually help you get your money without having to actually use legal services if you have to, without actually having to go to arbitration or court if necessary. So it's got everything clearly laid out, and it's just for the building industry. So it's not for, so it's designed, because this has happened so much where people weren't getting paid. they design something.
Why
especially-
don't people get paid? What's the most common reason why?
I don't think there's one common reason. I think there's a few. There's unfortunately there's a few builders that decide to go under, and then the tradespeople get annoyed next week because they see the wife shopping with $1,000 worth of groceries in a shopping cart the next
Yeah.
week.
Yes.
And the house has gone into the wife's name.
Well, you've
and
got to have the Italian marble as a builder, don't you?
I never said it was the Italians.
Don't get us in trouble with the mafia, mate. But the chandeliers, you know, you got to have the nice chandelier if you're a builder, and you know, it doesn't matter.
I'm not
about
saying all
paying the
builders are
workers,
bad.
right?
Only a small percentage are bad.
Yeah. But obviously, the flow-on effect is that in business, we all care about other people, but we care about ourselves more. Seems to be the way that a lot of people operate.
With some people, yes.
Yeah.
And look, it's there's too many tradespeople out there that it's ironic. It's like they're too loose with their money. They're too loose with the relationships with other people. And yet on the other side, they actually want to earn a decent amount of money. And at the end of the financial year, they're saying, where's the amount of money that the goal I had to actually earn?
But it
So
also sounds like you're talking about officialising something which quite often is just a bit of a handshake agreement or a gentleman's word agreement, isn't it? On, you know, we'll do it for this much, or this is how much it will cost you. The terms aren't actually written out.
that's right. And look, one of the reasons I believe is that a lot of trades, they're so rushed.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it's time, you
Yeah,
know.
of course.
Or again, one of those things they haven't been shown before how to do. And I had a plaster recently come to 2 of the days in my workshop, and the 2 financial days where we actually cover this. And he walked out at the end of the 2 days. It was like one of those cartoons you would watch 20 years ago where you get hit over the head with a mallet and you see the birds flying around.
Oh, it happens to me every day at Ticker.
I was trying to avoid that. But yeah, he said, look, there's so much that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
And he said, I can see, the standard that you're actually showing us of how we need to operate our business.
Yeah,
But
there's what you need to do, there's what you should do, and there's what you can do, right?
absolutely. And the other thing is what I say to people, it's what you don't know that you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's you're right, I'm right, I suppose. But it's about
And
actually...
if you're a tradesman and you're a business owner and you're really good at your trade, it doesn't necessarily mean you're really good at business or that you're really good at managing these sorts of relationships. And a lot of companies out there, a lot of tradies out there probably should have someone chasing these things up, but they can't afford to. They basically aren't making a huge margin off what they're doing, and any profit goes to themselves, which means that they need to keep working really hard to get jobs done. So these sorts of things fly under the radar. Is there a way to try and make that a bit easier? What do you guys do?
Well, I'm actually glad they're not all good at business, because I'd be out of a job. So obviously, you know, our mission, you know, if you're a tradesperson, I'd say that our mission is for you to be as good at business as you are at your trade.
Yeah.
And there's other people out there that actually do that at the moment, which is great. The one thing that we do differently is because we've got such an extensive, I suppose, board of presenters that are they have a really high standard in the way they operate. And the reason that's important to me is when you bring somebody in that's a tradesperson that hasn't had much business knowledge, my goal is for everybody that we help is to get them into the top 5% in Australia. And when they can start to see how that'll be positive for them, because then when they can see that, okay, if I'm in the top 5% now, they're going to start attracting customers that are they can see their standards have lifted. So that's what we do, but that's the benefit for the trades that we help.
All right, Miles, appreciate your time.
Thank you.